I would be kind to myself and tell myself that everything's going to work itself out, not to waste time worrying. If I that would free up so much mental space of sitting there obsessing on worrying about what could go wrong, and 99.9% of the time doesn't go wrong. Because I think the universe does what we focus on. So if we're focused on negativity, that's what's going to happen, because the universe thinks that that's what we want to have happen. So what I try to focus on is what I want to have happen.
Welcome to the Funny in Failure podcast, a podcast that celebrates failure and shines the light on the emotional side of comedy, with yours truly, Michael Kahan.
Boy, oh boy, is this conversation inspirational and sprinkled with incredible compassion. I may not be close to the topic of beauty and makeup, but it was really fascinating to hear Christina's holistic mindset on these topics and ultimately how she's become the best in the business, a true leader in the field. I certainly gained a lot out of it, and I was blown away by her approach to life around death and grief. I'm still in awe. I've never heard anything quite like this. Her story has left me feeling light, energized, and inspired, and it's catchy, and I'm sure you'll feel it too. Also, wait to the end to hear her crazy miracle story. It will certainly leave you scratching your head. So let's get into it and officially introduce today's epic guest. Christina Flach is the CEO of Pretty Girl Makeup and a celebrity makeup and hair artist. Her work is inspired by her love of beauty, fashion, music, and art, and she channels these passions into her goal of making a client look and feel beautiful on the inside and out. Some of her previous clients include actress Hillary Swank, former Secretary of the State Condoleezza Rice, Senator Ted Cruz, Forbes magazine, and the New York Times, amongst other notable names and brands. Christina was married to professional tennis player Ken Flach up to his death after a brief bout of sepsis in 2018. Since then, Christina has been dedicated to raising public awareness of the dangers of sepsis and has partnered with the Sepsis Alliance to produce awareness campaigns highlighting Ken's story. So as you can imagine, we dive deep and we cover a lot, such as beauty standards and makeup, death, grief camp, moving forward, being a CEO, gratitude, feeling good and looking good, holistic health, and happiness. Before we get into this chat, in case you aren't aware, the videos are now available on YouTube under Michael Kahan. That's Kahan with a K, unless you're listening to it already. I find it adds a new element and dynamic to these chats. I'll still be posting snippets of these chats on Instagram under Funny in Failure, so check them out if you want to stay in the loop for upcoming episodes, or you want to ask a guest a question. I'd also love it if you would share the podcast or share your takeaways from the chat. It really motivates me, helps the podcast grow, and ensures I can lock in amazing guests like this one. And just as a final reminder, the podcast comes out every Monday at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, with the video to follow the following day. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's epic episode. Okay, this could be a great place to start if you're ready to go.
I'm ready. Let's go. I'm excited.
What does makeup do for your soul?
Oh, what a great question. Well, there's two answers to that. First part of it, it feeds my soul because makeup enables me to do what I love, which is paint faces. On a personal note, I love being able to hire myself sometimes and hide imperfections that are very obvious that I want not to be seen.
Can you expand on that? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
That's right, you don't. Well, sometimes I'll just talk about me. Well, sometimes I wake up with dark circles under my eyes and I need a little help to look like I'm awake. And so that's what makeup does for me on a personal note.
I've heard you talk about how it like enriches the soul and makes you feel good. It gives you the opportunity to see you in a way that you always see yourself. And, every day differs. I'm not an expert in makeup, but I can appreciate it.
I think it gives, people are all visual, not just, I'm an artist. It's not just me, but everyone. I think you get a much more positive, and I'm sorry that the world's this way, but it is, that people respond better to people. And it's not that you have to be beautiful, but when your energy is, you're feeling like good about yourself, you look in the mirror and you go, I look the best, like the best version of me. I think that you are a lot more positive, and your energy is different. So when you do go into a meeting, I think you're going to have a better outcome.
That's a very interesting take. And when you speak to guys about makeup, someone like me this is completely out of my zone. I think you also work with guys as well. How do you
I have a lot of male clients.
How do you talk about it with the guys? Like, I'm sure there's stereotypically a lot of guys that like have their arms crossed and they don't quite get it. Do you have any of that?
Actually, no, because the men that I work with are all, they've been in front of the camera for a lot of years and they're used to it and they know that's just part of the deal. So I have actors, celebrity chefs, athletes, musicians, and they're all really great. What I do normally to kind of, if they're a little hesitant or they're not in such a fantastic mood, I always bring along aromatherapy oils.
Ooh,
and
it's my language.
Yes. So I bring some lavender on or peppermint and I massage their hands, and it really connects you to the person, puts them in an instantly good mood. But it also, there's like pressure points in there that kind of awaken your face. And so you look a lot better. Oh, now you're interested in my job.
I was interested before, but now I'm even more interested. I just want to pigeonhole that because that is something people don't quite understand, is that everyone on camera, whether it's the news, TV shows, all of that, everyone is wearing makeup.
Everyone. And if you're doing your job well, which I like to think I do, you won't see it. And you'll just see someone that's not shiny and, doesn't have dark circles and has a nice, healthy glow. That means I did my job.
And in terms of beauty standards, as I said, this is not quite my topic. There's a lot of talk about how people say we don't need makeup, you're beautiful without it. But you seem to have a very
I think it's a crock of shit.
Okay, please go on.
Well, first of all, yes, in this little utopia world, the people think no one needs makeup. Okay, that's someone's opinion, and I hear it all the time. But I also think, like, what's wrong with it? Why is it bad to look like the best version of yourself? Why is it bad to just, camouflage the flaws that could be, quite frankly, sometimes they're distracting, and not to someone else, to yourself. Sometimes if I feel that I have dark circles under my eyes or there's a blemish, I am self-conscious and I'm focusing on that and not on the meeting that I need to be having or the Zoom or the interview. So I just think people need to be really honest about it. Like, why would you not want to look like the best version of yourself? It's illogical. Like, you want to look healthy. You want, I do think that it's super important, and I speak about this a lot, of beauty from the inside out. I think that making sure that, we get enough rest. As a culture, we don't sleep enough, and it's not called beauty sleep for nothing. It really is magical. If you can get like 10 hours of sleep and you really are rested, you're going to wake up energetically in a much better mood. You're going to have your body's had time to rest. I believe in drinking a ton of water. I believe in drinking green juice, not smoking or doing drugs. Alcohol does not make you pretty. It doesn't. Trust me. I see people that drink a lot and I can tell. And I think having gratitude and love in your life makes you more beautiful. When you're happy, you glow, and the camera, doesn't hide that or can't lie. It sees people when they're, I can tell when someone's happy. Their eyes are bright and shiny. They're not glazed over if they're depressed and sad. So
you sound like a holistic, if this is the right word, like makeup artist. You're more than that.
I am a holistic makeup artist. I think that's true. I think that I try to use, natural products, but I also believe that your skin is going to look better. Your hair is going to look better if you take good care of it. And I can hide a lot of imperfections, but if someone comes to me that has been eating poorly, drinking a lot, in a smoky area, they're dehydrated, I can only do so much. And so I do believe that you will look better if you take good care of your skin and rest and not be in the sun a lot. Sun damage is real and it really can't be reversed. So wearing sunscreen every day, especially you're in Australia, you know, you have a lot of sun there in some months, and a hat and glasses. It's important. And you can tell if you take care of your skin, it really does. It does matter.
I like that. And I like how you talk about the holistic aspect, which we'll dive deep into. But what I'm also
Yes.
hearing, it's not necessarily about like there's something wrong with you and I'm here to make you look better. It's about you feeling better. It's about the individual, not that in order to
Absolutely.
survive or thrive in this world, you have to be a beautiful person. It's about trying to bring out the best in the individual. Am I hearing that correctly?
Absolutely. That's absolutely accurate. I do believe that. And I think when people's energies are positive and they're feeling confident, confidence is probably one of the most attractive things in anyone. I think people like to be around a positive, confident person, and it makes them look even better than they are by their confidence and their energy. So I do believe that.
I think that's really awesome. And you don't really hear about that in this space. It seems to be like a completely different topic, but to me, it's all part of the same thing, or at least through me, like hearing you, is that there's so many aspects that make someone beautiful. You talk about inside out, but there's so many things to improve your day to day, as you said, like eating well, sleeping well, not drinking, all of that stuff. I find that very awesome and very cool that you bring that into your practice. But how did you discover that? Because that's not part of, inverted commas, the norm of what you do.
No, it's not. I mean, I think laughing is really a major thing. Feeling love, being loved, giving love, that's a big thing. Gratitude. I think all of those things make one look like the best versions of themselves. Happiness, when you see someone that's happy and feeling love and giving love, it's a beautiful thing. I don't know if I answered your question.
No,
Your question
you did.
Did I? Okay.
No, this is really interesting to me because I think that's what, I don't actually know what beauty means. So hearing that beauty is not just,
Well, what does it mean to you?
I'm not really sure. It's for me, beauty is how I feel about myself, I guess. I haven't really thought about it. So it is very interesting. And you adding in all these other layers to be like a whole person, not just put something on your face. It's about how the person feels. And you're kind of like a coach and you would have to work as a therapist in a sense. This is
I am sometimes. Believe me, I can't say all the secrets that people tell me, but when they get into my chair, they tell me so many things that they probably wouldn't even tell their best friend. And I unfortunately can't repeat them or I would never work again.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested in that, but I'm interested to know how, as we said, there's like 20 different skill sets coming into this. And I don't know if you would have been aware that you would have to do all of this. Also, you're like the best in the business as well. So it's just crazy.
Thank you. I think I didn't know when I started that it was going to, well, I actually studied psychology in college. So I love that part. I love people. I love what's to me, like one of the blessings of my job is, I always say the gift with purchase is that I meet people that I probably wouldn't meet in my everyday life. Working with Rita Moreno, Hillary Swank, Condoleezza Rice, Metallica, Journey, Tyler Florence, Bobby Flay, all these amazing people that I get to spend so many hours with is like a dream. I couldn't have even imagined having this job when I was young. So I love it. And I love traveling. I like being in different places. It would be jail to me having to go to a cubicle and just sit there every day and not have interaction with people. So I've created this life for myself with this job that I love so much. I love the part that I can be part of a team. And, I just finished a TV show with Fox called the Denver Airport Conspiracy Mystery. It's called In Plain Sight. It just came out, and it was so much fun. And I work, Tyler Florence, we just wrapped the 15th season on the Food Network of the Great Food Truck Race. So I get to work with a team of people that are so wonderful and create a TV series. And so, for example, or do I do a catalog for a shoe brand or something? So it's really fun. It's and to get to work with these people is just really a dream come true.
It speaks volumes to me because I used to work in a cubicle and now I'm doing this, and this is just for me. There's not a go at anyone that works at cubicles. It just was not the right match at all for me.
I mean, some people, my sister is an executive for Costco and she loves it, and she's fantastic at it, but it wouldn't be the right job for me because I like to be able to, it's not that I don't want to work 7 days a week or a lot of hours, but I like being able to, for example, do a podcast during the day. Well, it's part of my job, but, or go to yoga or meet a friend, so I like having flexibility of things in my day. And I've created that. I have always said to my children, figure out what you love doing so much that you would do it even if you weren't getting paid. And then figure it out how to get paid and get paid well and where you want to be. And so I'm so happy that my two daughters have graduated from college, and Melania studied in London and she's studied couture at Central St. Martin's. And my daughter Rose graduated from NYU with as a screenwriter from Tisch and a business degree. Yeah. And she's in Los Angeles. She's in Los Angeles and she writes. And my son Nikolai is in college and he plays golf and he's studying jazz. I don't know what the actual fuck he's going to do with that, but he was studying engineering and now he's studying jazz. But you know what? He's happy, so I really don't care. But and my son Ben is 16 and he's a sophomore in high school, and he is very competitive golfer. He's top 10 in California and he travels nonstop playing golf tournaments. So those are my ducklings.
I think we can get into it, but I think it's very cool, just as an offhand comment, like coming from, there was expectations of me, for example. I know a lot of, like pretty much everyone on the podcast has had a similar story where you have to go to a proper job, otherwise you'll never be successful, and all of that stuff. A grown-up job, exactly. And for you to just, even though you made a joke about the jazz, that you're just allowing your son to follow his happiness, because it's kind of the only thing you can do. If you're going to be down his throat saying, like, it's not going to work, or what are you doing with your life, which I'm sure you probably have.
I mean, who would I be to say anything? I paint faces for a living and I make lip gloss. So, I mean, I can't really, I'm sure my dad was like horrified when, he figured out what I did. Even now, he's like, what do you do?
Oh, so it doesn't go away. The parents will always.
No, okay. My dad's just like, what's your job? I don't, So but I truly believe that, like with Nikolai, I know he's going to figure out something fantastic and he's going to be amazing. And so I don't worry about it. I know, I love that he's got straight A's, 4.0 in college, and he loves what he's doing. So he'll figure out something. And if it makes him happy, then that's all that matters. Truly, that's all that matters.
I appreciate that. And that is the goal for me. And that's what I wanted to part on the world. But still, when money comes into play, the economy and all the horrible things that are happening in the world and all of that stuff, it can take away. But you go back to that place of happiness. And I guess you're the living role model because you're actually doing that.
I am. I love my life so much. And I'm so blessed with all these miracles and great things that have happened in my life.
This is why I was so attracted to speak to you, because you're not just someone, you live it. People can say the words, but you actually live by the words. And, talk is cheap, but to see like you're smiling and you're glowing, you're genuinely really happy with your life. And I think that's really important. It doesn't matter what anyone does. If they find what they're happy with, they'll be able to support themselves, or I'm of the belief they will. And your life will change. Yeah.
That's true. And it doesn't mean, there hasn't been bumps in my road and difficult times, but that's life. And it's how you choose to handle these situations and react to these situations is what I think is I think I've really learned to maneuver and handle very difficult situations and tragedies that I've had in my life to the best of my ability. I've also look at things from a very different perspective. My daughter, Melania, actually, my husband, I was married to Ken Flach. He was a professional tennis player, #1 in the world with his partner, Rob Seguso. And he passed away 4.5 years ago from sepsis. And after he passed, my daughter came home from London, and I was sitting in my office, and I was pissed off and furious, and I was just vile with everyone and everything. And she looked at me and said, you know, Mom, you have to be grateful for having had Ken at all. And I looked at her. I think she thought I was going to throw something, but I just was like, I said, wow, you are so right. My son, Bo, had passed away, and it'll be 16 years this December. And
Wow.
after that, I just was obviously very sad and just kind of broken. And Ken made me smile and laugh again, and made all my family happy. Even my kid's dad, my ex-husband, he loved Ken so much. So my daughter was right. He came into our life and made us all happy and laugh and smile again. And for that, I'm forever grateful. And so I, of course, wished I'd had a lifetime, but that's not what happened. And so I am grateful for the time that I had, and because he really did change all our lives. And so that's really a great thing. So I think if you can be grateful for these things that happen in life, instead of focusing on, yes, my husband died, my baby died, my mother died, my business partner died, my cousins died. Like, I've had a lot of death in my life, but instead of focusing on them being gone, I focus on them when they were alive and what they brought into my life and bringing laughter and love and joy into my life. And so I think if you can look at these bumps and tragedies that everyone has, not just me, and be grateful for what you had and focus on that as opposed to focusing on what you don't have, I think it's easier to deal with these situations, because inevitably everyone is going to pass away at some time in their life. I mean, we all are, and people we love, unfortunately, are. But I also feel that they are up in heaven watching over me. And I know for a fact, because it's happened, I have had so many incredible miracles. And I know it's from my angels watching over me. And people cannot believe that, and that's fine. But there's too many of them that have happened out of nowhere and at odd times. For example, it was right before my birthday, and it's so funny. Ever since Ken has passed, something amazing has happened with my career right before. It's like a present, like
Oh, nice.
Discover, this credit card Discover. Do you have that there?
I wouldn't know, but I'm sure we do.
Okay. Well, it's like Visa. So
Uh,
I got a call from a producer in LA. They wanted to rent out my house for an insane amount of money and hire me as the makeup artist.
Wow.
For 3 days. It was like crazy. So I've had like these amazing miracle type things like that happen. And so, yeah, I choose to think, and I know that, I've had some help from up above.
There was a lot there, and one credit to your daughter, or credit to you for raising your daughter like that. To be able to...
well, my daughter, she's amazing. My kids are really extraordinary people. They, on their own, I try to set a good example, but they're so smart and funny and kind, and they're wonderful. And they are everything to me.
You've done great. And I often say this, but like as a passing comment, but I truly mean this. Have you considered doing a TED Talk? Because it's one thing to talk about the highs and the lows. And as I said, like, you're very grateful, and you're very happy, and you're very proud in a positive way of what you've done. But to actually go through all of that, and we just skimmed through it. This is a lifetime and you've done a lot of work. I
Yes.
heard you talk about this, and we just skimmed it. There's obviously huge lows and some highs. Have you considered doing a TED Talk? Because not everyone can walk out. In fact, I don't really know anyone to go through quite like those experiences. And that was just, as we said, a skim. Have you considered doing
I would
a
love
TED
to
Talk
do that.
or a
I would
book?
love to do that. I don't know about a book, but I would do a TED Talk. I think that would be fun. I don't know how to do it. I'd have to ask my assistant. She knows everything.
That is great. We're putting that out there. And in terms of...
Yes, we're telling the universe. I'm telling my angels, help me get on a TED Talk.
And in terms of gratitude, this is a very loaded topic, and I think it's very important. And you kind of, I have many quotes that you've said, but pretty much life doesn't happen at you, it happens for you, or something like that. And I think that's very interesting. Can you expand on that for me?
So I think what I meant was sometimes we don't, so when we think things are happening to us.
Yes, to us, sorry, yeah.
They're happening to us. So, something bad that we think is happening to us, sometimes it might be happening for us. We don't always know that at the moment, this week, this year, this lifetime, but we always have to know that the universe is protecting us, and things sometimes happen for us and for a reason, and we just don't always know. Sometimes we figure it out, but it's that, and I do believe that. And so I also feel that if you can look at the world that way and life, knowing that things are happening for you, then you don't feel so hurt, or you just feel like, okay, there's hope and something great's going to happen. So I feel that, bad things have happened, but I think from when Ken passed, it was truly life altering and awful. And I was heartbroken, but I've had so many incredible, I was on this show in LA, and there were two psychologists, and they were asking me to speak about, I started doing this because I was speaking about raising awareness for sepsis. And then it kind of segued into speaking about grief and how I deal with it, and, moving past it, and grieving in a positive way, as opposed to just being a widow in a black veil and miserable. I felt that I was on a hike one day, and I was hearing Ken talk to me, and him saying that it was really hard to watch me from up there, crying at night when I'm in bed alone or sad. And it was really painful. And then I just thought about that from that perspective. How would I feel if I was looking down upon him or my children or my family, and they were miserable and they weren't living their best life? That wouldn't make me happy, and that would not be certainly honoring your loved one. So I really thought about that, and I thought the greatest thing that I could do is for Ken to look down on me and be proud, and see that I'm doing oh gosh, I usually don't do that.
Thank you.
Just to see me doing great things, or trying my best, and being positive. And so on this show that I was on, they said, you've had post-traumatic shock dealing with all this, but you've actually segued into post-traumatic growth.
Nice.
And I believe that, because I remember a million years ago, I was on The View. It's a show on ABC here in the States. And I was trembling. I was so scared to, I'm a makeup artist. I like being behind the camera. If I wanted to be in front of it, I would have been an actor, right? But but the growth that I've had in the past 4.5 years is being able to get in front of do these interviews that I could never have imagined myself doing, and speaking without crying normally, but to take a situation that is not one that, is fantastic, and turn it into something positive and happy. I have raised money for the Northern Lights School. I started 2 educational funds at the Northern Lights School in Oakland, California. It's a private school for predominantly minority children that are like 90% there on scholarship. And so I started for my son, Bo, the Baby Bo Fund. And then I started the Ken Flach Educational Fund. And education and nutrition are incredibly important to me. And I feel that if I can honor my loved ones by
Which you're doing.
Which I'm trying to do. And
You're not
feel
trying,
that,
you're doing.
Okay, I am doing. Yes,
Yep.
I am. But I'm raising money for them to go to private school. My son, Ben, Bo's twin. So my last two are twins, Ben and Bo passed away. So Ben is an incredible golfer. And for the last 5 years now, he has played in the celebrity golf tournament that Vida Blue puts on for the school. And he has raised over $100,000 for his twin and for his daddy's educational funds. Last October, he raised $36,000 in one day playing golf. And that was so amazing because it enabled 3 kids, actually maybe close to 4 kids, to be able to go to private school for an entire year, which changed lives, which changed communities, and trickling down to the world. And so I am so proud. All my kids have participated, helping out at the Northern Lights School, raising money and time, donating their time to help kids. And I love that so much. And I also feel that because they've started doing this from such a young age, that this is something that they will do all their life, I hope, because they are so blessed with their lives and all the opportunities they've been given. I hope that they can continue to raise money and awareness and do great things for communities. And it doesn't need to just be for that school, but it could be for anything. I also helped start with my friend Lisa Zimmer a garden at the Edna McGuire School in Mill Valley, California, the Bo Friedman outdoor classroom. And
nice.
It is, I love it so much. It's this big outdoor space that has these gardens that the kids plant vegetables and fruits. They pick from the trees. They eat it for snack. They sell it for like a farmer's market. There's chickens. It's just this amazing place. And the kids learn to do science projects and they cook. They also, I think, because sometimes kids get into that, they eat 5 things: chicken nuggets, pasta, pizza, maybe some broccoli. But I feel that if they're given the opportunity to plant seeds and watch it grow and harvest it, cook with it, they are going to be much more inclined as they get older to eat a salad or have some carrots or tomatoes. So I feel that if we can get kids to eat better and grow vegetables from a young age, I really feel that their dietary habits will be much better.
I think that's genius. And I've been studying this for a long time now. And it's more than that. One, the relationship with food is probably one of the most important relationships we have on the planet. And
I agree.
It can change like your brain chemistry, your energy levels. It can actually help even like schooling, for example, because you're not so deprived. Your blood sugar levels aren't crashing. I'm just skimming. It changes everything. I'm very interested to know because, we talked about some of the holistic stuff that you do, including the essential oils. And how did you find out about that stuff?
About the oils?
The oils, the natural element, the food,
okay.
They're all in the space I call holistic health.
So I have 2 of my best girlfriends, Roxanne Klein and Diana Stobo, are celebrity chefs, but they were also raw chefs and vegetarian chefs. So they taught me about green juice. My friend Roxanne taught me so long when my kids were little to make a green juice at dinner time. And before the kids would have dinner, they'd have the green juice. And she said, put it in a wine glass and give them a straw. They'll think it's a cocktail. Like a kiddie cocktail. Yeah. And so I just said, when you finish your drink, then you can have your dinner. And so it was never a big deal. So they always just drank it, the green juice. And I would make it obviously not as hardcore as the ones I drink, but I would put in, apple or banana, along with spinach and power greens and celery, and they would drink it. And so it's like, I at least knew every day they were getting some, vegetables in their body. So, and my kids still do it to this. My daughters are grown up and they drink their green juice on their own now. And I don't,
very cool.
I love it.
And that's also one of the perks of your job. And I know we just spoke about it, but I think it's a cool comment that you get to meet so many different people, and each one would have a different story and expand your worldview. And money can't ever buy that. Like, to have the opportunity to speak to these chefs, and I'm very interested in the raw space because I've been having too much sugar. So I go to the raw, like the vegan treats now, because otherwise I'll just eat tubs of ice cream, and it's a completely different
sugar is just a drug.
Agreed.
If you have a little, if you have one cookie, you're going to have a million. So I've really tried to, especially lately, I'm the beauty expert on NBC in the morning on this TV show with my friend Berlin Fisher on California Live. And so I have to be on TV now. So, the camera ads wait. So now I'm like, okay, I would treat myself because I wouldn't have any sugar during the week. So on the weekend, I'd eat the ice cream I wanted or the cookies or the cake. And so I've stopped, and it's just amazing that I'm not craving it anymore. I also, I drink in the morning when I wake up a glass of water with either fresh lemon squeezed into it or apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
Yes. And it cuts, the best part of it is it cuts sugar cravings.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. That's my gift. That is the
you.
gift of purchase that you get interviewing me today.
I used to do that, and then I don't know why I've forgotten. Pretty much a few weeks ago, I stopped all sugar for a month, and I felt unbelievable. And now I just got back on it. I'm an idiot.
I know.
Thank you.
It's a new day. Just start over tomorrow. We all fall off the wagon and I do believe, I don't want you to think that I don't eat cake or I don't eat pizza. And I definitely believe in balance, and you definitely need a glass of wine with pasta, or, you want a piece of cake. I'm just saying it can't be every day for me because I don't feel my best. And here's the other thing. You're not going to sleep as well either. That sugar gets in your system at bedtime, and you're going to wake up. You may get groggy and fall asleep, but you're going to wake up once it gets into your system in a couple hours. So you don't, it really hurts the sleep. And so I think that if you can try not to have sugar, especially before bed, you will I can promise you'll sleep better.
Thank you. This has been a gift in many ways.
My pleasure.
And now let's just call it natural elements. It's probably not the right words. The essential oils, and the different points, and you're building a connection when you touch their hand. And also different oils do different things to not just our senses, but even our brain, if you want to look at it that way. How did you discover that side?
So it's so interesting. So I learn things all the time from my clients. And so I was on a shoot one day with this model who I worked with quite a bit with Mark and Graham. And she taught me, she came in with this little box, and I said, what's all that? And she said, oh, they're these essential oils that they're a high enough grade that you actually can eat them and drink them. And I'm like, it's a company called doTERRA.
I didn't know if you could. I've heard two different trains of thoughts not to ingest them, but that's because
they're not pure enough, because they're with alcohol, or I don't know what else they put in. Please do not, unless these are food grade essential oils, do not ingest them, because I don't know what they're in. But doTERRA is a company here in the States that
we get it as well.
They're fantastic. So she taught me all these little tricks, and it comes with the book. And so I've learned about that. So using lemon oil, grapefruit oil, in water. I put it in, instead of having a Diet Coke, which I used to love once in a while, I will get mineral water and put a few drops of lemon oil or grapefruit oil, or sometimes I'll put in some lavender oil into that to calm down. Right before bed, I put lavender oil on my feet and my stomach and just breathe it for a minute. Sleep so much better. Peppermint oil sometimes is great. There's just so many amazing things that these oils can do. I put together a concoction with water and these certain oils as a bug spray, and there were no more flies. I just got a book actually yesterday about using water with different peppermint oil to clean the floors. So in the bath, I'll put Epsom salt with
Yep.
lavender, and I love the oils. I just think they're fascinating. They're so interesting, and they smell good. So
You should get a
praise
sponsorship
to it.
deal.
I
Is there-
should. They should be giving me. I just got my notification. I'm on their like VIP program, but
Right.
it's not that I'm important. It's I spend a lot of money
Yeah.
every month.
I think it's also great because I've now moved into a house, and to use so many, for example, chemicals, which are like toxic and poisonous, and you inhale them. But you're also talking about
Right.
it as a component that you can clean the floors with certain elements,
Absolutely.
and you're ingesting at least something that's good for you.
Right.
I want to go back to, I guess you can call it the grief side, because what just sprung to mind is every single person on this planet has had highs and lows, but a lot of lows in their life. And it can be very hard to get out of these situations. And a key thing that you said, which I really want to like dive into, is that when you're in service of others, it actually helps your grief, but it also helps you. And you actually, I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong. You're not only you growing and you like thriving in this situation, that's obviously very tough, but you're spreading the love to everyone else. So it helps them as well. It like gets amplified and amplified and amplified. Do you see it a
It's
similar
true.
way?
I do. I think after Ken died, and when the Sepsis Alliance contacted me and asked if I would raise awareness for sepsis, I thought that would be a positive thing to do, and I was happy to do it. I thought you can't be married to someone like Ken Flach and not use his name to honor him, but to help others.
Yep.
It's not all about getting free tickets to Wimbledon and the Australian Open.
Yep.
Sometimes you actually do need to do something good with that. And I also felt that I didn't want anyone else to lose a loved one the way my family has. And so I thought that would be a good way to help. And with my son, Bo, I also wanted, when a baby dies, my son was 4.5 months old when he passed away. No one wants to talk about a dead baby. They want to forget about it. And I did not want to forget my baby. I didn't want anyone to forget my baby. So I started the Baby Bo Fund and then the Bo Friedman Outdoor Classroom. And so I love that his name is still, out in the world and people know that it's there. I love that. I think also I listened to the Daily Jay Shetty on the Calm app.
Yeah.
I love him. Oh,
He's a very inspiring guy.
He's fantastic. I just love him. So I listen to him every day. And one of the times that I was listening, he was saying that a woman was very angry and sad that, her life was awful. Her people had died and all these bad things were happening. And she went to, I guess it was her monk or someone, and said, my life's awful. Why is this happening? All these awful things. And the man told her to go into the town and visit like 20 houses. And he picked the houses. And she went and visited each house, and each house had tragedies and terrible things. And actually, by the time she came back from the 20th house, she said, oh my gosh, my life isn't so bad. I have a lot of inmates. She actually started changing her way of thinking about, she had great things happening in her life, and to focus on the great things. Yes, the tragedies are, they're tragic and they're terrible, but they can't define you. And you can't just sit there wallowing in misery. I have 4 children that if I'm an unbearable bitch and unhappy and not productive, well, it's going to affect them. And they're going to not have a happy life. It's not fair to them for me to at least, and I'm not saying I haven't had days where it's been hard and challenging and all of that, but I think my kids all see that I have handled this very difficult situation with as much grace and dignity as I've been able, more than I even knew I had.
Yeah.
And I've helped others along the way by, raising the money and awareness. And actually, then it started with, trying to teach people to grieve in a positive way and to honor their loved one that way. You're not honoring anyone or anything by being miserable and sad because they're not here anymore. It makes no sense. And so I'm not saying that there's not times and days that I'm sad, or that of course you're allowed to be sad, but to just wallow in that and not try to do something positive and try to love and be happy, it's not making the world a better place. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I think that's just so awesome because, as I said, and I'm going to say this 100 times because I truly mean it, to go through certain situations, and as I said, everyone has had lows, but you still come out and you thrive, and not even despite these things, on top of these things, and that you're coming out to give back to people, which also helps you, and you're a role model, not only to your family, but to everyone.
Right.
I think that's just phenomenal. And, you are like not sweeping it under the rug. You're feeling the emotions. You're honoring yourself.
Absolutely.
But
yes.
as you said, and I could say this from my high horse, and so I hope no one takes offense. Like, as you said, you still need to live your life. And what I'm hearing from you is that really happiness is a choice, that despite what happens.
It absolutely is.
And
I do believe that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Please go on with that thought. I think that.
No. Finish your sentence.
I don't even know. I think that's really, I think it's more important coming from you is that it's one thing to go through these emotions and then decide to thrive, but you've actually put it into a purpose. You love your life. You've got a job. You've got a family. You've got these things. And on top of that, you're helping people, which is another added thing, which I'm sure was very scary at the start. But really, happiness is a choice. I want you to expand on this topic because it means a lot coming from you.
Okay, well, thank you. I think every morning I wake up and I did a book cover with a woman here that was about being positive and having a happy and loving life. And she said, every morning you need to wake up, hug yourself, say, good morning, Christina, I love you, and start the day like that. I also say every morning when I wake up, I am going to have a fantastic day.
Ooh,
and I think of 3 things that I'm going to do and that I'm looking forward to. Like today, CBS came today and filmed me doing makeup. I chatted with you. I'm seeing my kids. I decide I'm going to have a great day, and it doesn't mean that during the day things aren't going to suck. They might suck terribly, and bad things might happen. But I at least make the intention of having a good day, and I think it's also a habit. I think being in a bad mood and grumpy, that's a habit. Of I'm in a bad mood today. Okay, well, yeah, you're going to have a bad day because that's what you're telling the universe you want. But I'm telling the universe I want to have a good day. So even if things come my way that aren't fantastic and are bumpy, and I have one of my best friends has stage 4 cancer, and it's killing me to watch her sick. I hate it, but I broke down crying this morning talking to her, but I just have to stay positive and think of great things that I'm going to do and how I love her and I'm praying for her and I want her to be healthy. So things do come in the day, but it doesn't mean you have to stay in that place of sadness and unhappiness. I think loving is like such a great thing. Having love in your life is so important. I am so blessed because I met someone that fills my heart. He makes me laugh. He drives me crazy sometimes, but I have people have said, well, how can you move on and love someone else if your husband died and you loved him? It doesn't mean that I of course will always have love for Ken, but it doesn't mean that I can't have love for my new person. And I don't say his name publicly because he is a very private person, but I do want people to know that you can move on from a spouse passing and loving again. It's kind of like I have 5 kids, right? And I have 5 hearts for each kid. And because I remember after I had my first child, I thought, oh my God, how am I going to have a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth? If I just love this one. And so it's so amazing. With each child I have a heart that is just filled with love for that one child. So
That's
each
nice
kid
thing.
has, and so I feel that with my new person, I have a heart that is a big, fat, red, juicy, yummy heart filled with so much love for him. And it makes me happy. And I'm so grateful that I found someone that makes me laugh and fills my heart. And, you know, I get butterflies and excited when I see him. And I do. I see him and I'm like,
Oh, that is okay. That is awesome. I want to make a comment and then get into that aspect. In terms of the habit, I think this is really important. For example, I meditate every day. I don't want to meditate every day.
Yes.
But
we know we have to.
But you build the habit and then it becomes automatic. So when you talk about positive thinking, so every day doing those 3 grateful, what am I going to do today? How am I going to be positive? What am I grateful for? Changes the brain. But then this is on the second point, and I know I think you said you went to grief school, or you alluded to that, or you learned about grief
camp.
Grief camp. And shame. Shame is pretty much one of the most powerful emotions. And just reading between the line, there's a lot of shame when people go through grief. You talked about how we feel that we have to like be sad and upset all the time. But as we said, who we're honoring, finding love afterwards is crucial. And I'm sure things came up for you. We don't need to dive into it because I'm sure you've had to deal with this a lot. But there's absolutely no shame in finding love. There's no shame in moving forward. There's no shame in doing what you need to do to thrive. And everyone has their own process. What have you kind of learned through this like grief camp around shame and maybe any other positive elements that spring to mind?
I think, the other word I'd like to bring up is judgment.
Yes.
People have a lot of judgment when someone has passed. So I went back to work 7 days after my husband passed because I actually, in my twisted mind, thought that because being on a photo shoot is always my happy place. And I really, when my agent called and said, what can I do for you? I said, just book me a job as quick as possible, because I honestly thought that if I got back on set, I would feel like my old normal. And I desperately wanted to feel like my old self. And what I've learned is that the normal that existed no longer exists. So you have to create a new normal. And so it takes time, obviously, to create a new normal, and I was very hard on myself. Not that I was thinking I should get over this pain, but just the pain I was in was just so enormous. And I just wanted it to go away. And so I also realized that at the beginning stages, if I got too hungry or too tired or didn't exercise, everything seemed worse. So I really made sure that I didn't get too hungry. I didn't get too tired. I worked out. I went outside, got fresh air, got some sun. I would buy myself flowers once a week, light candles. I would just do all these things, just be kind to myself, because that was really hard for me at the beginning. So that really helped create my new normal. And, my kids all had gone off to college and I had been left at home. And so I had to create a whole new life, and it took time. And I think that's the biggest thing, just to be kind and gentle to oneself. It took a long time, but I'm really grateful that now I have this beautiful new life, and my career is great. I was able to, focus on my career that I normally probably wouldn't have been able to do before. Tyler Florence has been my client for 15 years, but I had never been able to go with him to do one of his TV series. I would always do his, makeup for him here in the Bay Area. But this spring, in March and April, I traveled with him for 6 weeks to do the Great Food Truck Race on Food Network.
Nice.
And so that was super exciting that I have opportunities now, because my kids are grown and I don't have a husband home, that I am able to go do these great, TV shows. I went to Denver and worked on a TV show for Fox, or there's different opportunities that I have that I didn't have before. So it's a different stage of my life, but I love it and I'm enjoying it so much.
I like how, despite some of the things that you've gone through, and I don't say that lightly, that you just see miracle after miracle. It sounds like with obviously a lot of work that doesn't mean you don't feel it, but you can get yourself out of it and go, what am I doing today? How am I going to feel good? Thank you for that experience. And you can kind of see that despite an inverted commas, a negative experience, you can turn it into a positive in your own way, which I think
absolutely. And I also think the more opportunities that my agent always says, the more you work, the more you work. So the more that you're happy and doing positive things and excited, it gets contagious. I get opportunities because someone enjoyed working with me, because I'm not difficult. I work really hard. My work is good. I have a smile on my face most of the time.
You're human.
I know when to be quiet. I know when to, do whatever. So I get opportunities and referrals from other jobs. So I'm very lucky and grateful that that has happened. And also now I have more time that I am able to travel and do these, TV shows and stuff that I could never have done when my kids were little, because they were the most important part of life and the focus.
Last thing on this, because I really think this is going to hit home for a lot of people.
Okay.
In terms of more the judgment, because one, we're judging ourselves during, like, inverted commas, negative experiences, and that's hard, but also other people, because we don't have the best relationship when inverted commas a negative experience happen, or death. Death we do not talk about in society. It's like,
no,
it's kind of like,
it's a bad thing. Yes.
Yeah. And you would have had to learn, this would have been like school on steroids, because you are going through so many things, but you're learning so many things about yourself, obviously, but just that component of that, it's like healthy to talk about it. It makes you, in a sense, feel better. You're talking about these experiences. I'm sure this has given you, like, obviously we talk about a nice lease on life, if I said that correctly, but I'm just interested of how you dealt with that side, like the judgments and how people come in, they bring in their own shit. It's not actually you, it's them, and all of that. So I've thrown a lot at you, but we'll see where we go.
I think obviously at the beginning, before you learn, my life was public because of Ken. So my grieving was a little bit more public than most people. So that's a little different than I think most people would have to deal with.
Yep.
However, it was hard at first when people were judging because I went back to work, or, it's been 4.5 years and I have a new person. And sometimes people have judgment about that. And I just think, like, how dare you? You're not walking in my shoes. Instead of looking at me with judgment about that I have a new person and that he's so wonderful and I love him, how about be happy for me and happy for him, that we have each other. And so there's been gossip and stuff about me and him, and that's a little hurtful. But I also think, you know what? Those people are just jealous. They're envious. And I know that people look at my life and think, oh, she's CEO and she works with all these famous people and she's got a good life and whatever. Or they think my life's, it's hard for people to not have envy about me and my life, because my life's pretty damn good. And but I've created this. I had to get out of a very dark black hole 4.5 years ago, and I worked my ass off. And
Awesome.
with my career and things that I had to pay and all these other things that I don't speak about publicly, but and my heart being broken, but someone told me this, it's none of my business what your opinion is of me. And
I like that.
Isn't that a great
Yeah.
one? It's hard sometimes to feel that people are having these judgments about you, but it's just like, there's nothing I can do. They're going to have it regardless. And all I can do is be my best self and be happy. And if they don't like it, that's because they probably wish they had happiness and love in their life and they don't. And
I
that's
think,
their problem.
I
That's
think
not
that,
my problem.
I agree. I think it's a very positive way of looking at it. There's two things. Everyone always talks about, I wish I could read someone's mind. That would be the worst thing if people are.
Can you imagine?
Oh, but it is, I think it's very important that when I say we, it's me, we acknowledge that when someone's coming at us in what we perceive as a negative way, it's not actually about us. It's their insecurities.
It's them pointing, sometimes when people
mirror.
are pointing their finger at you, it's really what they're pointing at themselves.
Exactly. So when I get angry or I'm upset or I say something mean or nasty to someone, hopefully, I don't do this all the time. I go, oh, this is me. This is not actually them. And that's a good way to keep ourselves accountable. But lastly, it's taught you compassion, which is what we need in the world. So thank you for
And that's
sharing.
a habit that I've had to learn, is because I think before, if I knew that someone was speaking, ill of me or making up stories or not even true, I would be angry at them. And now and now I've gotten into the habit of feeling sorry for them and just think, oh, well, bless your heart. I hope that you can find some love and passion, love and something in your life that makes you not so angry and bitter. That's just sad.
And it takes up less
time.
But
That's a habit I've had.
Yeah.
That's a habit I've had to learn. And you're right. I think it takes more energy to be angry at someone than to just go, it didn't exist. It didn't happen. It's gone. And thank God that I have learned to do that, because now things like that don't bother me.
That's awesome, because these things can have real estate in our head.
Oh my God. They could be there forever and you just spin it around and around and around. And so
do you just say like, I hear you, I send you love and see you later? Is that
love and light, love and light, love and light?
That's the right way. And now this is all success, but in terms of the business side, you're a CEO, you've done a lot in your life, and you're the entertainers, everyone wants to work with you. I don't
know about everybody.
Okay, the right people want to work with you. Okay. We'll say that. I found this really awesome because we don't talk about this a lot. And I heard this on another podcast where previously you've taken jobs for free because you knew that it would help your skill set, it would help you network, and it would help put you in a better position to succeed. I think that is awesome. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I say that all the time. I still do that for free. Sometimes I will work on a project because I want to work with that photographer or that actor, that model. Because when you do a magazine like People Magazine or Vogue or whatever, the pay is so nothing. It's so not about the pay. It's about, for me to have done Rita Moreno or Lars Ulrich is life-changing for my career. And so it's not about, I'm not going to get my big day rate doing those things. I just did a photo shoot on top of my roof like 2 weeks ago because sometimes I want to be able to express myself as an artist without any restraints creatively. So I will do something like, I have a friend, he's an amazing photographer and he knew a model, he came over and I just got to do what I wanted creatively. And I got these amazing images that are in my portfolio. And sometimes, and I've had them been opportune. I have a friend, she's a pop singer. We've done photo shoots that have turned into magazine covers. So doing things because you love them and brings you joy, especially, I guess you can't, I have a job that enables you to do it a little bit more freer than,
but you built up
a
to
lawyer
that,
or
and
something.
it's with your mindset and your philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I did a pro bono for this lovely girl, a teenager named Ivy, here in California. She came over and I taught her how to do makeup. And she felt so different after we had that. She felt like the best version of herself. And this is really when I started kind of honing in on how important it is how you feel when you look in the mirror and how you portray yourself out into the world. This teenager, because after she had done this time with me, we did makeup, and I was telling her, like, dream big and do, have goals and you'll be amazing. I was giving her like my Tony Robbins
I
speech.
love it. Yeah.
But she called me after and said that she had applied to study abroad. And she went to Prague for 2 weeks. And she said, if I hadn't had that opportunity, if you hadn't told me that stuff, I wouldn't have done it. So to me, like, I've had people, Tyler Florence motivates me all the time. We spent a lot of time together because, we were doing the TV show. And so I was sitting there with him while he had conference calls, but his enthusiasm, his, passion and ambition is contagious, and it makes me want to do more and be better and be greater. So
And you apply that to other people as well.
I do, because I think because people have been amazing to me, I think it's important for me to do the same thing to others, to give back. And it's not just with like the school and raising money, it's helping someone. If I have a skill that I can give to someone and it changes them, how they feel about themselves, they're going to have a different life. And not that I've changed her life, but she's going to be more open to things or different opportunities than maybe she would have had before.
I love it.
And I told her, I said, you know what, Ivy, one day you are going to do, she's an amazing photographer. And I go, you know what, you're going to do the same thing I did with you to someone else. And it just kind of trickles. If everyone could do that in the world, wouldn't that be so great?
You change the world.
You change the world one by one. And if everyone could do one little nice thing for someone, as often as you can, when the opportunity arises, the world would be better. And I look at the world as a beautiful thing. I know the world's upside down right now and all this craziness, but I choose to just, with my rose-colored glasses, to look at the good. I try to keep that dark yuck over there.
Nice.
It's how I choose to live. I don't want to live in that murky, yucky, dirty water.
Agreed. And you're controlling what you can control, and a lot of that stuff you can't.
Right.
I think that's just added to that, paying it forward. And you've obviously got a growth mindset. And I think that's crucial, because one act of kindness changes someone. And as we said,
Absolutely.
It amplifies and amplifies. And yeah, I just think that's like the nicest thing someone can do. And especially on the money side, like we all can have a warped perspective with money, and to do something without the intention of money or what am I going to get also really adds. And look, some people might not be able to do that, but there might be a small opportunity where you can go and grow without the intention of how much money am I going to get. And I think that's so fantastic.
I think for me, like, doing a photo shoot that I can make money, it's not going to be in that moment, but it's going to be to enhance my portfolio. So it will come pay off later at another time. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. Okay, I reckon what we're going to do now to wrap up the podcast is do a rapid fire segment. And first thing that springs to mind, but if you need time to think about it, please take your time.
Okay.
What are some of the key lessons you've learned from being a CEO that you apply into your life?
Learning to hire people that are better than me, and me not wasting time with things that I am not strong with. My business partner, Jordan, is great with spreadsheets, and he is great with business plans, and it's not my strong suit. Social media is not my strong suit. So Avery is in charge of that. My assistant, Maya, is amazing, keeping my life scheduled. And being positive, giving people positive praise. And also they're more inclined when you're positive and kind to, you can say anything to anyone if you do. I'm not saying everyone that works with me there's always some days they're going to be off or they make a mistake, but I don't focus on that. I just try to tell them, okay, in the future, let's do it this way. So I think I've learned to motivate people to be their best self, to work their hardest, but also to learn to not get angry about little things. There's nothing, it's not the end of the world. Everything can work itself out, and enjoy the time that we're all working together. I love everyone that I work with. They're fun and they're nice and they work hard. And I think because I'm kind, they give me more than you know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
so much more to give more because they feel good about me. I'm not a bitch. I don't scream and rant and go crazy. I keep it together. So they give me more than I could ever expect.
that is awesome. I'm not going to comment on them because each of them we could do a whole podcast on.
Yes.
What are the hardest lessons you've had to learn as the CEO, or maybe just one that springs to mind?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Life's not fair. It's not fair to me that Kylie Jenner started a makeup company and in 18 months is a billionaire. That's not fair, but that's life. What am I going to do? I could be bitter about that, but I'm not. I just, every now and again, if someone asks a question like that, that's my answer. It's not always fair, but it's okay.
And we glossed over this. What was the goal before you got into this? Did you have aspirations in this field?
I never thought that. I didn't even know what a CEO was when I was, 15. I didn't even know that you could make money doing makeup for people. So I did not know that I could get paid doing something that I loved so much.
Very cool. And why entertainment and working with celebrities?
Well, I guess in my career, in my business, that's probably like the highest thing that you can get to do is work with celebrities and be on TV and be in magazines. So I think it was just, I'm very ambitious and I wanted to try and be the best I could be. And to see your work in a magazine is a pretty big deal. And it doesn't ever not thrill me to see my work on TV or in a magazine.
And for those that are watching this, that you were smiling and you've been smiling throughout, but you were smiling like you're so in such a positive way, proud of yourself. And that's contagious. That's the goal.
Thank you.
No problem. What is sepsis and how can we look out for it?
So sepsis is an infection of the blood that attacks your vital organs and they all shut down in a very short time. So your listeners can go to sepsis.org and scroll down. There is a little diagram that says time, and what time is. T is for temperature. You can be incredibly hot or incredibly cold. I is for infection in some place in your body. M is for mental decline, whether it's just hard for them it's starting to affect their thinking process. And E is for excruciating pain. It's like you feel like you're dying because you are. It's shutting down your organs. So sepsis can be totally treated if you're seen in a timely fashion. It's not a disease that you can go, I'll sleep and I'll wake up. If I don't feel better, I'll go to the doctor. No. Sepsis, if you have any of those signs, go get a blood test. They'll find out in 20 minutes. Tell your doctor, like, I think I might have sepsis. It's usually from an infection in some place in your body, whether it be a cut or in Ken's case, it was bronchitis that turned into pneumonia. So there's an infection brewing. And then they'll give you an IV antibiotic and you'll survive. But you don't have a time. You don't have a tomorrow. There won't be a tomorrow if you wait too long.
And I mean, no disrespect to those out there, but it's not COVID because it is much more severe.
It is not COVID.
And especially from the pain element and the real lack of, I think you said fog. So that's also an element. Because I want people to go and really take it seriously, but I don't want them to think if they've got COVID that they've got sepsis. But at the same time, it's best to take precautions. Yep. Favorite thing to do when you're not working?
Oh, I love to read. I love to hike. I like to work out. I love to be outside. I love watching my kids golf.
Do you golf?
I do, but not that much. I'm a golf mom, so I like to go watch my kids. I love to go to the movies. Yeah, I like to cook. I like to have people over.
Very cool. And what has meditation done for you?
Slowed my brain down at the end of the day. My head is like, woo, spinning. So it just calms my brain down. It's taught me to breathe. I didn't know you actually could breathe.
Yep.
It's helped me to sleep better. It's helped me to focus, calm down, a lot of good things.
What would you do if you knew you could not fail?
Exactly what I'm doing.
Great answer. We've spoken about this, but we'll see what comes out from this. What's been your special ingredient to work all these years?
I never say no. So when my agent calls, I say yes before he says anything. And I say thank you. I am very grateful to my agents. I'm grateful to my clients. Um, I work really hard. I make sure that my makeup is, my brushes are, no one's getting an eye infection on my watch. My makeup kit's always pristine. I have a good attitude. I make people feel good. And that's a big deal in my job. It's, anyone can be a good makeup artist, but to make someone feel good on the inside, that's a skill. And I have learned, I try, but that is something I have really, it comes naturally and easy to me, but I know that I make my clients feel good. And they get very attached to me quickly because I make them feel like family and my friends. I think that's why.
That's awesome. Something you want to get better at?
Probably, I would like to ride horse better, be a better equestrian. I would like to probably play golf better. What would I like better to be? There's so many things. I want to get better at everything. There's just not one. There's like everything. I want to always be improving and learning.
Next big dream or goal?
Well, I would like to get my company, acquired. That's probably my big goal.
Can you expand on that? Because it's very interesting. People, and I briefly heard you talk about this, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be doing this for the rest of my life, but sometimes that's not necessarily the best goal.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I want to. I mean, I want to have something to do in the beauty industry, but I like the wellness industry. I like motivate. I didn't realize I was good at motivating and being an inspiration to people. So I like that aspect. It's interesting how things segue into other things. I didn't expect to do any of these things, but I enjoy it immensely. I'm just open. You know what? I think I'm open to whatever. I don't even know. I don't even know if I know what's going to happen next. That's going to be exciting. I think the universe has a plan, and I'm just kind of going to be open to whatever and try my best and enjoy it.
Beautiful. Last 3 questions, if that's okay.
Okay. Yes.
Any advice you'd like to give to people who want to try something different or new, but perhaps are a bit fearful of doing so?
Okay. I have a really good answer for this. So I think everyone, you have a corporate job, but you really want to be a florist or you want to be a makeup artist. Well, don't quit your job because, we have bills to pay, but start doing it after work or on weekends. And hopefully over time that will enable you to quit your grown-up job to do the job that fills your soul and makes you happy. So I think that's what it is. I would start out, do it it's a process. It's not something you just decide to do. I mean, unless you're incredibly wealthy and you can do that, but not everyone is. I certainly wasn't. I was a makeup artist that started a makeup company. So that's kind of what happened to me. So being a makeup artist helped me. I'm very lucky that I have been able to have a makeup company and be a makeup artist because both my jobs help the other one. It makes me stand out as a makeup artist because I have my own line, but it helps my line that I'm a working makeup artist. So
You are right. That is a great answer.
my plan E helps my plan B.
Yes, it all feeds together.
Yes. Yes.
If you could go back into a time when you were first starting out or going through some of these experiences, what advice would you give yourself and why?
I would be kind to myself and tell myself that everything's going to work itself out, not to waste time worrying. That would free up so much mental space of sitting there obsessing on worrying about what could go wrong, and 99.9% of the time doesn't go wrong. Because I think the universe does what we focus on. So if we're focused on negativity, that's what's going to happen because the universe thinks that that's what we want to have happen. So what I try to focus on is what I want to have happen. So I think to just be gentle, like be kind to myself. I am harsher on myself my friend Diana taught me this. She's like, you would never treat anybody the way you treat yourself. So why don't you? So I've learned to be kinder to myself.
Very nice. And we briefly mentioned miracles. Is there a particular miracle that you've experienced in your life that has changed your outlook on life? I know you've had a lot.
I've had so many, but just knowing that I can talk to my angels and ask them for help, and they do. That's probably been the biggest miracle. I didn't think that was possible, but it is. And they do hear. And I know that, sometimes I will ask Ken, my baby, I need your help. And they do something. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad you heard.
Oh, that's awesome. Ed,
Yes.
was this something that you were aligned with previously, or did you change?
No. Oh, no, I totally changed. I didn't. Are you kidding? I would have said I was crazy. In fact, my son, Nikolai, I went and spoke with a clairvoyant right after Ken had passed. And it was interesting because I was on a list to speak with this woman for a year. And at the day of the session, my agent had called and I had a last minute booking with, I would think it was Gucci in San Francisco. And so I told Ken, I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm not going to that. So could you please go to speak with this lady? And he said, yes. His mom had passed. And so he was open. So that was a wonderful thing. He was open to my interest in all this. But he had said to his mom, if you believe me or you hear me, like, our word will be tiger. And so when he went in to speak with the woman, she had a stone out for me. And he said, oh, what are you doing? And she said, oh, well, that stone was for your wife. Spirit's telling me to put a tiger's eye out.
Oh, very cool.
So anyway, I went and spoke with her after Ken passed. And so it was kind of interesting to meet with this woman who'd already met with Ken, but now who was kind of talking through her now to me. So he had said to her, tell the boys, my sons, that I will be with them every step of the way when they golf. And when they hear a voice, it's me, and to listen. So I told my son, Nikolai, that, and he's just like, Mom, you're batshit crazy. Like, it's really, he's so funny. He's like, Mom, I'm sorry for you. It's tragic. You're just cuckoo. Yeah. And so I said, okay, well, whatever, Ken, whatever, Nikolai, just be open. The next day he called and said, okay, maybe you're not crazy. I'm like, oh, whoa, wait, I'm not crazy? And he goes, well, not as crazy. I went to the golf course. And I had given him one of Ken's bracelets. And so normally he would take it off because he didn't want to ruin it. But he heard Ken in his head say, keep it on, buddy. And so He's like, okay, I'm going to leave it on because I'm going to try and be open like my mother says. And he went to hit his first, the first hole, the tee off on the first hole. And it was a par 4.
Wow.
And hole in one.
I don't know anything about golf, but I know even if it's like
it was a big damn deal. And so the fact that my son actually was open to things and told me I was only mildly crazy after that was fantastic.
That's one of the gifts of doing these podcasts, is not only hearing all the wonderful things that you've said, is hearing these stories. And this has come up a little bit on the podcast. It is very interesting because it changes one's beliefs, whether you agree with it or not. It certainly changes one's outlook, and I think it's very interesting.
Absolutely.
This is the last question before I ask how people could follow you and keep up to date with you.
Okay.
What is the one question I should have asked you?
Oh my gosh, I think we did everything. What was the one question?
Anything you want to tie up, or maybe something we missed entirely?
Oh my gosh, I think we had a very thorough interview. I think my wish for people would be to just really love their life and make their life what they want it to be. And if you hate your job, get another one. If you don't like where you live, move. You're not stuck. And to not be afraid. Everything always works out. And even if it doesn't, something else is going to lead you down another path. And I just think it's so important. And I think it's important for our children to see us in healthy, happy relationships. You are not doing anyone a favor by staying in a marriage or relationship for the kids, because they are going to inevitably have the same sort of relationship that they've been exposed to. So if they're seeing a messed up relationship, that's what they're going to have. So the greatest thing that I've done that my kids have told me, and I didn't even realize, was that them seeing that, like, me after, I was happy with my kid's dad, but then it got bad after Bo died and whatever, that Ken would make me laugh and smile. And now, that's so great that my kids experience, 8 years of Ken and I happy and laughing. Not that there weren't sometimes it wasn't so great, but they saw a lot of love and happiness. And now with my new relationship, that they see that I'm happy again and I'm smiling and I'm laughing, and that just because these things happen doesn't mean you can't move on and be happy. So that's one thing that I'm really grateful that I've been able to show my children.
Very well said. And that is going to go in the TED Talk. Before we go, how can people follow you, keep up to date with you, and all the gazillion things that you're doing?
Okay. Well, you can go to ChristinaFlach.com to see my portfolio, and PrettyGirlMakeup.com for my makeup company. And we're on Instagram, PrettyGirlMakeup, and Christina Flack Makeup on Instagram. And we're on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. So, yeah.
We will upload those in the episode notes below so people can check them out.
Thank you so much. This has been such a fun interview. I want to compliment you on how well prepared you were, that you knew me and you made the time and effort to listen to past interviews, which was really incredible, because I can't tell you how many of these I do when people will say to me, so what do you do? They have no idea what I do
really?
Or what anything. And it's like, and I just think, I've been asked so many times like why I don't have a podcast. I don't have time. It's so much work what you do. And people don't realize to have a successful podcast, you do need to, know the person and kind of study them a bit, because it's going to be like this interview went an hour and a half, which I was expecting it was going to be, half hour, 45 minutes. So because you were so well prepared, we've been able to have a much more in-depth conversation than I typically have on most.
Thank you.
So thank you for that.
It.
I appreciate the effort that you put into this very much.
That means the world to me, and I don't say this lightly. You're an inspiration, and it was an absolute joy speaking to you, but also preparing for the interview. And there's just so many things from this. And yeah, I think you're a role model and you're very empowering, and we're going to have to chat again sometime soon. But
I would love that anytime. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wow. I don't even know where to begin with this one. There are just so many points that really hit home with me, so I'll keep it brief. I really like Christina's stance on grief and the elements behind it such as shame, i.e. how ultimately it doesn't help anyone by being excessively sad for a long period of time. That doesn't mean don't grieve or sweep emotions under the rug, but more that life will continue and our loved ones will want us to move forward. Christina comes from the honoring point of view, in that the best thing that we can do when we are ready is to take advantage of our beautiful world. I was also really fascinated by her take on never saying no. She accepts how the universe has our back and will always provide the best opportunities for us, especially if we're conscious of what we ask for. Often when we hit a certain level of success, it can be common to stop doing what we did previously and maybe cruise or allow our egos to take over. Christina, however, is not this type and will do a job free of charge if she feels it's right for her, and ultimately will lead to future opportunities. So I'll leave you with this epic quote by Gabrielle Bernstein. You are the dreamer of your dream. Create visions of the world you want to see. Thank you for listening to the Funny and Failure podcast, exploring the deeper side of comedy.